of a sudden
Yeah,
that happens.
you literally watch that happen.
And you might even see more fruit than you thought was there.
Yeah.
You know, when it was green, it blended in a little bit to the foliage, or it was hidden in there. And then when you start to get that color, wow, there's some fruit on there.
Kind of interesting to me that the plants themselves this year aren't as big and bushy as they are, but there's plenty of fruit on them. Is that weather related?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just the growing season and how it's progressed and the plant response to that. We didn't have the weather wasn't as conducive to getting good growth early, you know, letting that plant grow foliage before it started to set flowers. There were, you know, some stressful periods. It was cooler, and so it just kind of, they didn't grow that internode distance, the distance between each set of leaves on a stem. That is compressed a little bit more than it sometimes is. So that plant not only might have bigger leaves, more leaves, longer distance between sets of leaves. This year, that's a little bit more compressed, and things just, so the plant didn't grow as much. But then due to those conditions, they just started to set flower sooner. And that can be a response to, things aren't as good as I'd like them to be. And so we're going to make sure that we set seeds so that there'll be another plant for next year.
Yeah. It's really interesting to watch from year to year. And you tend to say it must be weather related because you're doing practically the same things every year.
Yeah, or you know, you might have the same varieties and you're treating them all the same and growing them the same way, using the same techniques, but you get a different result.
So the Old Farmer's Almanac, we're going to be hooking up with them again next week to talk about the new Farmer's Almanac is going to come out next month.
Okay.
The 2026 edition, but they have something out that they call their toolbox, their gardening toolbox, that has a number of different things, including the 2025 fall planting calendar, and then a soil calculator, a mulch calculator, to determine how much mulch you should be putting down to conserve water during peak heat, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about this morning. Was that might be a subtle way of keeping your plants hydrated that we don't think of. We think of mulch as being something we put down for weed control.
Yes.
But it actually has other benefits.
Most definitely. I mean, there's the organic, adding a little bit of organic matter benefit, but then that mulch shades the soil, which keeps the soil temperature a little cooler and then can also hold in moisture longer.
Yeah.
It still can dry out, and of course that thickness of that mulch layer will affect that over time. We can overdo it. We can have just a little skim layer of mulch on there, just enough to help shade the soil, which also helps keep weed seeds from germinating. If those seeds are deep enough and they can't get light, not all of those seeds, of course, need light to germinate, but a lot of them do, and moisture and temperature combined with that. So all mulch can influence all of that. And whether it's a bark mulch or a straw mulch or grass clippings, leaf mold, any of those things can serve as a mulch layer. And then, of course, we have, non-organic or inorganic mulches like plastic mulch and we call it mulch, but plastic or the fabrics. Those things also can serve some of those purposes also.
When you are putting mulch down, and particularly I'm thinking of in the garden where you are growing food, are there things to avoid, such as certain tree barks or anything like that?
We can sometimes, especially with some of the wood chips and things like that, you may, on the surface, you need to dump a load of wood chips here? Sure, that's fine.
Sometimes those are chemically treated, though, aren't they? No?
Well, usually not, because usually it comes as a result of somebody taking down a tree, dead branches, that sort of thing. But like walnut is an example. Walnut has juglans in it, which can prevent plant growth, especially like
juglans in it.
Yeah, juglans.
That sounds like the name of a German skier on the
Google that,
1976 Olympic team.
Yeah, it might have been.
Juglans was really good at the slalom.
But if you try to grow a tomato plant or even a pepper plant under a walnut tree, the results will not be good because that chemical compound suppresses the growth of other plants. So that's an advantage to the walnut tree because the walnut tree says, I want this seed to grow. I want to grow here. And so it has this chemical compound called juglans in the tree, in the plant, that will prevent the growth of a number of different plants.
So it's a bully plant. It wants all the nutrients for itself.
Yeah. So
at
that's
the
an
expense of others.
advantage walnut. Yeah.
How about that?
Not everything's affected by that. There's a whole, some things are outright killed by it, or they'll grow for a little bit, but then they die, or they'll be suppressed enough that allows the walnut tree to grow.
This toolbox from the Almanac also has the fall planting calendar where you can put in your zip code and it'll tell you when to plant what plants in the fall when you get to cooler weather. And we were talking a week or so ago about what plants that we can plant in the fall of the year, which basically are the same ones that we put out, the cool season plants at the beginning of the growing season in the spring.
Yes.
If you can find them. But
right.
you have to be able to find them at the nurseries or anything, or else start your own.
In most cases, you need for the fall crop, you need to start your own seed.
And you ought to do that now.
Yeah, some of those definitely. You could be planting those seeds and getting your transplants. You can direct seed. It's easier to direct seed in this time of year for a fall crop because we have warmer weather. The soil is warmer, and so those seeds. You plant seeds, they're going to germinate quicker and get plant growth. And I guess another potential advantage to doing it that way versus, seeding them in a flat and growing them that way. Sometimes when we grow them in a flat and try to grow transplants, we may not push them hard enough, or we might keep them in the flat too long that they get over mature. They needed transplanted sooner. They can get stunted a little bit.
Yeah.
They can get root bound in the container. So just keeping on a schedule, you can transplant small plants outside. You just have to make sure you have a soaker hose or a watering system set up so that those little transplants don't dry out. And sometimes that can be advantage if you just seed it directly. Those plants will be a little bit more adapted and have to grow out into the soil that they germinate in. And then you're also not disturbing them either once you plant them.
Yeah. So they were talking about things like spinach and kale. I'm thinking broccolis and cauliflowers and things like that.
Yep. You can, the broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage. Of course, you get into the lettuces.
Can asparagus come back in the fall? No.
Well, it's been growing. That you could probably. It kind of quits sending up new shoots this time of year. This time of year, it's trying to just make enough food that plant can continue to grow and put energy down in that root system. So that tends to be just a spring thing because the new stems come up in the spring, and then everything's pretty much up now. You might have a 4 or 5 foot tall, even 6 foot tall plant right now. And so we just tend to let it go because you're not getting the new growth, and that's what you're harvesting from the asparagus is that new stems as they come up through the ground.
Okay.
So that tends not to happen in the fall. Got to wait till spring for that one to come. Hey, before thinking about tomatoes, things have kind of really changed just in the last week with sightings of like late blight. And,
we're going to ask about that.
Up in New York, north of Erie, and a couple other places, it's popped up just all of a sudden.
I am.
So be watching your tomato plants. If you grow potatoes, be watching those too, because that late blight organism attacks both. There's different strains, of course. Some are more likely to attack tomato, and some are more likely to attack potato. Or there's a couple strains that will equally attack both. But just be watching your plants closely.
With heavy rain in the forecast for tomorrow and for Sunday, and actually coming into the area this evening, does that mean I should wait until after those heavy rains move through before I spray them again?
You should have the protectant fungicide on ahead of time.
Ahead of time?
Yes, you want it on the plant before we get the wetting period.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But then after it comes through, if it washes it off, I need to go right ahead.
And it won't wash it all off. Once it's on there and dries, it will have effects, for at least 5 days. If we get 2 inches of rain or something like that, then when that rain event's over, you should go back in and reapply.
Does that stuff absorb into the plant or just act as a coating on the outside?
Most fungicides, organic or not, are going to be a surface. They're going to be a barrier on the surface of the leaf. They're not systemic.
Okay.
There's a couple fungicides that can have a little bit of systemic activity where they would actually go into the leaf itself. But the majority of them are all protectants, just a coating, a covering that'll be on there to help so the material's there when the spore lands or when it tries to grow, and then it does its job at that point.
Yes. We have spent almost all of our time together this morning out in the garden getting eaten up by those really biting V-wing flies. Oh, wait, that's just my garden?
Oh,
Or is it everybody's?
I doubt it. That's the other thing about having more moisture around. The mosquitoes have plenty of places to breed as well as other insects.
Yeah. Evidently, I'm very tasty to them.
Yeah.
It's that O-negative blood. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. That's true.